Hi guys, my name is JM Sullivan and welcome to my BookTube channel. Today we are tackling another of my fantastic top fives, and I thought that since I love YA and YA is my happy place, I would introduce you to my favorite top 5 YA book series. Let's get this started. So I admit I cheated a little this time, guys, and I am not actually doing a top 5. I am doing a top 5 plus 1 honorable mention, and that is the Night World series by L.J. Smith. I started reading this book a couple of years ago, and I read the first one, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I had to go out and buy the next 2 books, and I read them as fast as I could. I really enjoyed the series. I liked how L.J. Smith actually set them up. In each book, there are mini stories, and so it's like a collection of novellas, but what was really cool was how she made it so that the characters intertwined. And I didn't really notice that until I picked up the second book and I recognized characters from the first book. And I loved how she was managing to tell these completely different stories, but they were all connecting. I loved it. The one reason that this did not make it into my top 5, and I had to just give it the honorable mention, is because there's actually a 4th book to the series that should be coming out called Strange Fate. And ever since I read it, I have been waiting for it. And it turns out that a lot of other people have been waiting for it for a very, very, very long time too. And as far as that goes, I really don't like that. I think it kind of stinks for the readers. And now as a writer, I can understand that there are definitely things that come up, and I can understand why. But at the same time, when your fans have been waiting 10, 20 plus years for a book, you just can't be in a top 5. So honorable mention L.J. Smith for your Night World series because it's amazing. But we really need that last book. So now for the actual top 5. Number 5 is another fantasy book. Go figure. It is also another paranormal book, and it is the Bloodline series by Richelle Mead. The Bloodline series follows the story of Sydney Sage, who is an alchemist, which means she's part of a super secret organization that helps keep the existence of vampires and paranormal things under wraps. I really enjoyed the Bloodline series, actually, because it connected into another series of Richelle Mead's, which was the Vampire Academy, and I read that first, and I really, really enjoyed the Vampire Academy series. I loved the idea of the Moroi and the Dampiers, and just the different spins on the vampires that she put in, and actually, when she wrote the Vampire Academy series, Sydney is in some of the later books, and when I first met Sydney, I really didn't care for her. I just kind of thought she was, kind of blah. But then I read the Bloodline series, and I absolutely fell in love with Sydney. So that is why this one absolutely made it into my top 5. Like, with this series, Richelle Mead made me completely love a character who I really didn't care for to begin with, and I became so completely invested in her, and then later on her relationship with Moroi, Adrian, and so that book in itself, just for her connection ability and her ability to make me fall for a character, would earn it into a place in my list. But I absolutely just love the story, and I just think the way that she worked in this new story in with her old story for her fans is absolutely incredible. So very well done, Richelle Mead. You have earned a fan in me for life. That actually brings me into my number 4 series, The Age of X, also by Richelle Mead. It follows the story of a Praetorian, May Koskinen, and she is basically this amazingly advanced super soldier whose job is to serve the Runa as basically a super soldier assassin. Like, she's kick-ass. And so that in itself, having this super strong female lead, is amazing. But not only that, I love, love, love what she did with the world building, because the series follows a time where religion has been banned and is kind of basically taboo. There are still certain sects allowed within the government, and there are also religions that are outside of the government. But within the Runa, religion is really pretty frowned upon, and it's heavily regulated. And so that is where the Praetorians kind of come in, and they help keep the peace and enforce things. But as we follow the story, it turns out that these old gods aren't really as gone as the Runa would like everyone to believe. And so I really enjoyed it because it brings in the Greek mythology, the Egyptian mythology, there's references to the Norse mythology, and these gods that are all from different religions and different systems are now working together in this complicated, tangled web, trying to fight to gain powerful people. And of course, May, being the amazing person she is, has become the target of several different gods. Number 3, The Hunger Games. I first read The Hunger Games when it came out, and I absolutely loved it. I love dystopian. I think dystopian stories are the coolest, and the kind of gritty, dark nature of Hunger Games, as opposed to some of the other stories that I've read, really grabbed me. I mean, it's this super rich society that takes kids and makes them kill each other for sport. Like, what? But Suzanne Collins did so much more with it than that, and I just love the drama, and I love the tension, and I love the character and the world building that she did within the Hunger Games, that I had to include it. Number 2, and I'm probably going to kind of get some flack for this, but really it was a toss-up for my number 1 and 2 series. They were so close, but I ended up giving this one the number 2 spot because I feel like it earns the number 1 spot on so many other people's lists that I wanted to give a shout out to another author. Not that this book is in any way, shape, or form less than. I love this book. I adore this book. I fangirl hard over this book. I understand. And that is Harry Potter. Really, do I need to say anything? Probably not, because, again, so many of us love this book. It is an incredible book, and it was one that I absolutely grew up on. I loved following Harry as a new book was released each year, and we were in his different school years with him. I just thought that J.K. Rowling's world building, her characters, her creatures, her magical incantations, like everything she did was so amazing. And I just think that it's a fantastic story that's going to have extreme lasting power in the world because it is absolutely amazing. So that gets me to my number 1 story, my number 1 series, and that is another retelling author, Marissa Meyer, and it is her Cinder series. And the reason that I ended up actually giving this the ultimate number 1 spot is because Marissa Meyer is like my queen. I also write retellings, and honestly, if I could have my stories like half as good as hers, I would be so incredibly thrilled. Her series is absolutely amazing. I have read so many Cinderella retellings, and hers was just something that was completely different and nothing I'd never even seen before. And it follows the story of Cinder, this cyborg in New Beijing who's basically now a secondary citizen just because of situations that she couldn't control. And she was saved, but when she was saved, she was turned into this half machine. So she has this kind of rough life, but Cinder is so much more than just a regular Cinderella story where the girl meets the prince and falls in love and is whisked away. Cinder really deals with some tough stuff, and she rises to these occasions. So that's the first book, and then in the subsequent books, Cinder meets up and partners up with these other fairy tale characters. I just thought it was so incredible how Marissa Meyer was able to take these different, completely different fairy tale characters and weave them in together to one elaborate, complex, incredible story. So those are my top 5 series in the YA world. What do you think? Do you agree? Have you not read any of these series? Leave your answers in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, you can leave me a thumbs up and let me know how I'm doing, or you can subscribe to get notified when I post other fun bookish videos. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram. I would love to connect with you there. But for now, I have got to go. So until next time, happy reading.